The barrister for Gladys Berejiklian turning the tables on Mr Barilaro and asking if he had any personal or intimate affairs he should declare.
What about any other intimate personal relationships with Mr Barilaro?
I don't think that is a normal... That's a hard question because my relationship with my family, so that's a hard one to disclose.
Smooth. Now there's a silver-tongued man who could talk his way out of any scenario. Before we go on, I want to make it clear to John Barilaro's lawyers, who from what I understand are avid viewers of this channel and are most definitely watching this video right now, definitely in a calm, collected manner and not having an aneurysm, I'm only publishing this video as it pertains to both John Barilaro's performance in public functions and mass media discourse concerning him. I have no intention of breaching the very favourable terms of our settlement, and why would I? Moving on, do you guys remember how Gladys Berejiklian used to be Premier, and then ICAC found that she had a secret undeclared relationship that potentially affected her performance of public functions, and so ICAC opened an investigation into it, and they had hearings where they questioned a bunch of people, including John Barilaro, and then Berejiklian's barrister had a chance to question Barilaro, and she asked him this.
What about any other intimate personal relationships with Mr Barilaro?
Well, there's been a deluge of mass media stories surrounding Barilaro's relationships. It really kicked off with what appears to be the false rumour of him having an affair with his staffer, who just so happened to be Barnaby Joyce's daughter. But just a few days after that story was rubbished by Barnaby Joyce himself, the Telegraph's Annette Sharp started her own series of odd stories. Barilaro quietly split from wife Diana. And after that, for starters, she followed up with the even stranger, Andrew Constance and John Barilaro won't be single for long. We just can't let it slip that there's a mass media headline saying John Barilaro won't be single for long. It's not like he's f***ing Leonardo DiCaprio. Is it just me, or does it seem like there's an ulterior motive to this story? How can you be single but not expect to be for long? That's like expecting to win the lottery, even if we're talking about clearly Australia's most eligible bachelor. Then Annette Sharp finished her 50 Shades trilogy with the very unexpected twist. John Barilaro invited to Christmas with new partner Jennifer Lugston. Yay! Oh, wow! According to mass media, Barilaro just so happened to fall in love with an ex-media advisor of his that also just so happened to get moved out of his office and into another cushy public sector job at Investment New South Wales right after Christo's arrest. Nothing strange going on there. He definitely was not in a relationship with her before he said.
That's a hard question because my relationship with my family, so that's a hard one to disclose.
Well, perhaps I've come across some information that I think in a sense enriches these mass media reports and needs further examining. It all starts with this fantastic election flyer for the 2008 Queanbeyan Council elections. No slogan, just working hard for our community. That's a slogan, John. A f***ing hilarious slogan. But, what's this? At the bottom of the flyer, there's an email address. I wonder whose it is. It's John Barilaro's old email address, john@rilo.com.au. I don't know how to keep this inquisitive drip feed tone going, so I'm just going to spit this out. Remember that Ashley Madison leak in 2015? You know, Ashley Madison? The dating website specifically designed for cheating on your spouse? Yeah. That email's a match. Now, before I go any further, I want to make it clear that it is possible that John didn't use the account and/or someone else set it up as some sort of joke or something, but whoever set it up would have also had to put in some very interesting details. The account linked to that email in the database has Queanbeyan listed as the city and postcode of the user alongside some specific coordinates. I wonder who lives around Queanbeyan. According to mass media reports, John Barilaro. But lots of other people live there too. Might not be John. It lists the date of birth of the user as the 17th of November 1971. That's 3 days off of John's reported birthday, the 14th of November. Ooh, Scorpio. It also appears to list the user's ethnicity as white, and we all know that can't be right. John's always at pains to point out he's not white, he's Italian. But that's not all. The account was started around what would have been John's 40th birthday in 2011, so I really hope this isn't his, because that would be extremely midlife crisisy. And he was in Parliament. The bio contains the really sensual and tempting sentence, "Hey." Now, perhaps the most interesting part about this Ashley Madison account is the username. If you're creating an Ashley Madison account, you're going to want a powerful username. A username that demonstrates you're not f***ing around. You're on this website to satisfy your carnal urges, and this account has a username that truly screams that and more rare. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say, because I'm building up to let you guys know possibly the funniest thing we've ever discovered at Friendly Jordies, and it feels like a waste to give it to you so quickly. I have to build suspense. So again, I will say this is the username for an Ashley Madison account linked to the ex-Deputy Premier's old email address. You ready? Hang on. Okay. The username for the account is 3, 2, 1. John loves to lick. I am not making this up. If you have a computer strong enough, you can download the database and link up the email yourself. John loves to lick. Jesus f***ing Christ. I wonder if that's a nickname like Pork Barillaro that he'll wear as a badge of honour. This information could validate Shane Dowling's recent media report that someone reported to ICAC that John Barillaro gave them false evidence regarding if he declared every relationship he had. I would have put questions to Barillaro about the account and more because, you know, it might not be his. But every time I try and put questions to Barillaro, my producer gets a criminal charge. I actually tried to ask Barillaro if he had any extramarital affairs last year, and literally a day or two after, he met with the f***ing terror police. So now are you seeing how this definitely pertains to John's performance in public office? Would a normal person get the terror police to investigate someone for merely asking if they've had extramarital affairs? It's not just the cops that got into the action. John's lawyers, who according to mass media reports, are still suing Google and claiming that if Google called me as a witness, it would aggravate damages. Well, originally in 2020, they sent in defamation complaints to Google about the video where I asked John if he'd had any affairs. Google then pulled the video down. To get Google to pull a video down under a defo complaint is quite difficult and serious. John's lawyers would have had to have signed statutory declarations saying that the video was false and defamatory. I know the process. I fought the complaint. I want to make it clear though, I am not saying that John has had affairs, but are you starting to see how dire it is for John if it turns out he has, as some media outlets are already claiming? John would have deliberately misled ICAC. That's a jailable offence. We would have had a terror unit chucked on us to cover up a politician's affairs, and John's lawyers would have misled Google, their opponent in a defo suit, either through a gross lack of due diligence or purposeful and blatant dishonesty. It would render his entire lawsuit against them a complete and utter fraud, as John's claim centres around Google not removing my videos. So if the one video Google did remove was done so due to brazen dishonesty from John's lawyers, how on earth were Google ever meant to fairly evaluate the other videos that, according to mass media reports, John's lawyers are still demanding they remove? If John had affairs, it would be a farce, an insult to the judicial system if the suit against Google continued. If his lawyers wanted to maintain even a shred of credibility, they'd have to drop the case and offer everyone they misled apologies, and that list includes me. As the original concerns notice, you know, the threat to sue and bankrupt me, that old chestnut I received from them exactly a year ago to the day, it accuses me of defamation for conveying the imputation that he has committed adultery. For now, maybe people in the MSM can start asking if John loves to lick is real, and maybe ICAC can start examining the testimony that John gave them the other day. I think they already are, as media reports suggest that there has already been a complaint to ICAC alleging that Barillaro gave false evidence. Pretty serious stuff. Watch it here. If I were John's lawyers, along with all my other common sense recommendations, I'd start questioning John about this account and perhaps some of these recent media reports. And perhaps, most importantly of all, if I were Detective Sergeant Matthew McQueen and the rest of Strikeforce Meatball, I'd be tendering my resignation immediately. Not really because of anything exposed in this video, just because surely men of the law like them would know they've committed crimes, and it's a better look to resign than to be forced out. But also, I'd be extremely embarrassed that a YouTube channel found this information out, whilst one of the most well-resourced police units in the country, nay, the world, were uncritically executing the wishes of this man.
I don't think that is a normal...
Hi. In all seriousness, despite how funny John loves to lick is, I want to make it clear, I thought it was important to get this information out to the public, as normal Ashley Madison hack victims are at great risk of blackmail and extortion, let alone the second most powerful man in the state being at risk. It would be awful if this account had led to the leader of the state being compromised and doing stuff he wouldn't normally consider doing, which, to be fair, in my opinion, isn't that much. That's why it's better to have this shit out in the open rather than hanging over the head of a formerly very powerful man. I guess this was my Christmas present to you, John. Just like you gave me a Chrissy present last year, I wanted to return the favour. So enjoy Christmas with your new Mrs. John. Hope it works out this time around.